Hey there! We're doing a giveaway this month using this coffee cup pattern. So if you want to learn how you can enter to win a free Club Crochet kit for Yancy the Yeti here, go to clubcrochet.com/giveaway. You'll just have to post a picture of your finished coffee cup to enter to win. Happy hooking! Bye! Hey there, I'm Louie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a little tiny coffee cup, which you can use for amigurumi, a little keychain. You can maybe make it with embroidery thread and make little earrings or something. I most recently used this in my Yancy the Yeti pattern, which you can find at clubcrochet.com/yeti after this video. But yeah, I used it for this pattern. This is December's Club Crochet kit, so people are getting all the yarn mailed to their door with this pattern. But in this video, we're just going to be learning how to make this little coffee cup. And the reason I really like this pattern is while it's very easy and quick to make, there's a lot of cool little techniques that I put in here, which you can use further in your amigurumi to make things like flat bottoms, curved angled things here. You can use this little steam idea. But yeah, there's a lot of little tiny ideas in this. In this pattern, I'm using all worsted weight yarn, all cotton worsted weight yarn specifically. You basically only need one color, but you can also use brown for the coffee on the inside, and you'll need a little bit of stuffing. Because I'm using all worsted weight yarn, I'm using a size G 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a pair of scissors and something to stuff it with, but you can use the back of your crochet hook if you have a little rubber one like this. All right, well, without further ado, let's get hooking. All right, so let's start by making the handle, and you'll start with a slip knot. And the handle is pretty easy to do. All we're going to do is we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And when we work in these chains, we're going to work into these back loops. These, it's kind of like a spine of the chain right there. We're going to work into those. It really curves the chain down when you work into those pieces of it, so it'll get a really good U curve to the handle. So we're going to go into our first, we're going to skip our first back loop right there. I'm going to skip that one, and we're going to start into our second back loop right here. You might need your nail to get really under there. And into each one of these back loop chains, we're going to do a slip knot or slip stitch. So you're just going to yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on the hook, just like that. We're going to do that all the way down into each one of these back chains. So let's go into the next one right here. Use your nail to get under there, and just do a slip stitch. Okay, so that's 1, 2. Here's the next one. 3. There should be 6. 4. 5, and here's the last one right here. It's 6. And you can see how it gives you a natural curve to it. It'll get even more curved as we go, but it gives you a natural curve by just working in those back loops. And all we're going to have to do now is cut the yarn. You don't need too much of a long end. You'll just use these two ends to sew it onto the coffee cup. And we'll just do a chain and pull it all the way through. And we'll use these two ends to sew onto the coffee cup. All right. Now for the main mug part of the pattern, we're going to start with a magic loop method. You could also use the chain 2 method if you feel more comfortable with it. And into the second chain from the hook or into the magic loop, we're going to single crochet 6 times. So we're going to go into the center here and just single crochet 6 times around. And that's pretty much what I do for a majority of my amigurumi. 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that'll be the end of round 1 there. Let's just close it up. Okay. All right, and this pattern is worked in the round, so we don't have to turn around at all. Instead, we're just going to work into the first single crochet that we made right there. Okay, we're going to get our crochet hook in there. And for round 2, we're going to work an increase into each stitch around. Now, I'm going to work around this tail end just to hide it in. But you want to work an increase into each stitch around. And an increase means doing 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So there's our first increase right there. Just going to keep going around and doing 2 single crochets into every stitch around. And that's going to bring you up from 6 stitches to 12 stitches around. There's our 6th stitch, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. There we go. Okay, now is where we're going to do some fancy footwork so we can make the bottom of the cup very flat. See, check how it's like a very flat bottom. And how you're going to do that is in the next round, we're going to be working only in the front loops, meaning the loops closest to you. So we're going to get your crochet hook into just this here front loop like that. And we're just going to do a single crochet into each of the front loops all the way around. This is what I meant when I said there's a few cool techniques in this pattern. So we're just going to keep single crocheting around in just these front loops. 2, and there should be 12 stitches around. 3, 4. If you're having trouble getting into the front loops, you can just go under both of them and then kind of pull it out so that you just get into that front loop. It's makes it a little bit easier. Okay, here's 6, I think. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's going to be the end of round 3. You can see how it's really pulling up, but right now it's pulling up actually the wrong way. We actually don't want, this is the wrong side of the stitches, so we want it to go the other way around. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go in for round 4. We're going to work into both loops of the next of all the stitches around, and we're going to work into the back loops that we didn't use in round 3. So we're going to go into both of these loops and into the back loop right there. So there's going to be actually like 3 loops that we're working into right there. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of those, and we're just going to do a single crochet into each stitch around, but working into both of those loops and the back loop. So we're going to go ahead and single crochet, go into the next one, both loops, and then this back loop. And you might need your fingernail again to get in there. There's 2, and again there should just be 12 around. Both loops, turn it upside down, and there should be a back loop that's like perfectly lined up right there. Right, like that. See? Keep working around, both loops, both loops, back loop. This is going to be easier with probably looser yarn. And I'm crocheting very tightly right now. There we go. Keep working into those back loops. Okay. Should be 12 of them. And I use this technique in a lot of my patterns to make a really flat top, usually. Usually I'm going the other way around so that this is the top of the amigurumi piece. For like Frankenstein's head, for example, I use this technique. I have an old pattern called Rocky the Frankenfluff, and he uses this same technique. All right, we're coming to the end here, and you can see how it wants to still go this, the wrong way around. We're gonna have to turn it inside out in just a second, but try to get most of your stitches before you turn it inside out, if you can. So this should be, looks like we got one more here. Okay, and into that front loop right there. Okay, that's the last front loop. And now we can turn it inside out. You want to tuck that middle in so it doesn't pull out. And there you go. See how it's like a very flat 90-degree angle? That's exactly what we want. Okay. All right. So for the next 5 rounds, so we just finished round 4. So for rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 5 rounds total, we're going to just do single crochets into each stitch around. And there's no fancy footwork here. We're just doing single crochets around. And there should be 12 stitches all the way around. And if you wanted to make these coffee cups a little bit larger, because obviously this is a very tiny coffee cup, but if you wanted to do it larger, you could have increased more for, instead of round 3 working in only those front loops, you could have increased up to 18 stitches or even larger than that. And it would make this coffee cup even larger if you wanted to make like a full-size coffee cup or something like that. But we're obviously making it really tiny, and there's our first round done. Just going to keep single crocheting around. And I guess this is a good time to talk about Club Crochet. So Club Crochet is the website I started for all of my patterns, obviously. And in Club Crochet, you can sign up to become a member of the site. And if you become a Club Crochet member, you get more extra patterns every single month. I come out with new patterns. This month's pattern, like I said before, is Yancey the Yeti. And then you can also sign up for Club Crochet Pro membership, and that gets you a kit mailed to your door every month with all the materials that I use in my videos in it, so that you can crochet along with me using the exact same materials. And plans start at only $5 a month, so it's pretty cheap, and it helps me keep this channel going. And you get access to all the past month's worth of patterns. So I've been doing this for a little over a year now, so the patterns are really starting to add up. Okay, so this is going to be the end of round 3, it looks like. It also gives you access to stuff like Amigurumi 101. That's a series I've been making to show how to crochet amigurumi. Just little techniques, a lot like that technique we used in this pattern to make that sharp edge. There's a lot of little techniques like that you can use within your amigurumi just to make it easier or better. All right, so we're coming up to the end here. Let's see, looks like we got one more round of this. One more round of single crochets. Okay. And if you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing down below. And if you click that little bell icon, you'll get notified whenever a new video comes out or whenever I start live streaming. I try to do a live stream every month with 2 things. One is the giveaway pattern, so I'll probably be live streaming myself making this mug later this month. Also, I'll be live streaming me making Yancey the Yeti. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we have just 2 more stitches. I should do an Amigurumi 101 video on how I crochet without using stitch markers. Okay. All right. So once you have those 5 rounds of just single crochets done, and if you want to make it larger, of course, you can go higher than that. You'll slip stitch into the next stitch right here. Just do a slip stitch like so. You can cut the yarn. You want to cut leaving a pretty long end, especially if you want to sew on like your coffee color. That's probably pretty good. And we're just going to pull it through. We're going to thread this end onto our darning needle and we're going to hide it into the body of this mug. And now is the perfect time if you want to add stuff like a face to it or any detail, maybe like a number 1 boss or something like that onto it. Now is the time to do that. And I'm just going and hiding this end here. I should have shown how to do that. You know what? I'll undo this so I can show you how I did it. I threaded it onto the end, and I went into the back of the next stitch right here, just into the back right there. Okay. And then down through the center of where it's coming out. So here's where it's coming out of the stitch. We're going to go back down through the center of that. And we're going to basically we're going to go into the few of these stitches here, just like that. just to hide it in. And that will make kind of a synthetic stitch there. See, so you can't really tell where the end is. We'll just go ahead and pull that out. And we're going to use this end to sew on the inside once we get there. This center end right at the bottom right there, we can actually cut. We don't need this. Throw it off to the side. All right. So now let's sew on our handle. And there should be two ends here. We're going to start by threading together our inside end. So if you look at the inside of it, we're going to pull this one, thread that on a needle. And we're going to, let's go somewhat close to where this end is. So let's go like let's go ahead and sew this on like right, like that. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So we're going to go into our stitch right here. You want to go just a few rounds down. So we're going 2 rounds down, it looks like. And you want to pull it enough so that the end, this little knot right there, gets pulled through. See, so you can see it getting pulled through on the inside. Twist it upside down there. Okay, and we're going to take this and go down, take the same end, and go down a few rounds, take our needle, and come out just a few rounds down. Let's go like right, let's see. Yeah. So it's up to you how long you want your coffee cup to be. Let's go just a couple rounds down. So there's just 1, 2 rounds down from there. We're going to come out. And we're going to go in through the side of our handle here. Just pretty much anywhere. Let's go with just like that little end there. We'll go under 2 of those stitches just like that. Okay? Go through those. And we're going to go back down through the next stitch down. Okay, so 1 more stitch down right there. Pull it through. And you really want to pull this tight because you want it to be very connected. Okay? There we go. Now the last thing you want to do is you want to take the other end here, thread that on your needle, and go through just above where you first went in with your first end, right there. Okay? There we go. You can see how that's making our coffee cup part on. We went through the yarn there, so we're just going to have to pull it out. And now, here's our bottom part. We want to pull that tight, make sure everything's pulled tightly. And we can just simply double knot these 2 ends. Because it's on the inside of the coffee mug, it doesn't really matter. So just double knotting them. 1 and 2. I didn't want to double knot it too tightly. You want to double knot it enough so it doesn't come off, but you don't want to like pull together the stitches too much. So I just cut the ends close enough, throw that to the side, and we have our little handle sewn on pretty simply. Okay. Now the last thing I want to do is let's crochet a little center part so we can add some coffee on the inside. Now you can do a couple things. If you're going to make this into a keychain and you want it to actually be solid, you can crochet it, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. But also an easier way is just stuff it. Just stuff it with extra yarn. So you can see there's yarn right there. It's just stuffed all with yarn. Okay. But we're going to make the actual coffee end. So we're going to need some brown yarn now. I have some lighter brown yarn because I like a lot of milk in my coffee. But you can make it with some darker brown. And we're going to start with a magic loop method. Again, you can use the chain 2 method if you feel more comfortable with it. And all we're going to do for this center part is we're going to single crochet 6 times into the second chain from the hook or into the magic loop. So 1, 2, 3, just like the beginning of where we started with our mug part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Looks pretty good. We can pull this a little tighter now. All right. And all we need to do now is find our first stitch we made right here. Go into that, and we're just going to do a slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, so just slip stitch into there. We can cut the yarn. You don't need too long of an end. We're just going to pull that all the way through, and we're going to do a hidden end again for this end. So let's take our needle, thread our end there, and we're going to go again like how we did with the coffee cup. We're going to go in through the back of the next stitch right here. Okay, and back down through where our stitch is coming out. We're just going to hide it into a few stitches on the inside there. Okay, so we just have this little stopper. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to stuff this with our little ends in there. Actually, let's just cut these two ends just so they're not in the way, so they don't get too annoying. You can stuff it with this, of course. It's just going to get a little in the way. Okay, so we want to stuff it in there just like so. Okay, so it'll be like that. And I'm going to sew it on using this extra end here, just to make sure that it's into place. Thread that end on. And because there's more stitches around the outside than there are around this inside part, you're going to have to do some fancy work to make sure it goes through all the stitches. And I'm just going to work into the back loops of this coffee part. So just into these back loops right there. Okay, into that back loop. And we're going to come out through our first round down because we don't want the coffee to be too low. Get it really in there, and then pull it tight. Don't pull it too tight, but pull it tight. We're going to go down, or we're going to go across to the next stitch and come out through the back loop of the next stitch around on our coffee color. Coffee color? That sounds right. And we're just going to keep doing that. So we're going to go in through the bottom of the next stitch right here. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to come out through our coffee, our mug rather, through the next stitch, and then through the back loop of the next stitch on our coffee. We're just going to keep using just those back loops, see? Okay. Down through the next. And we just are trying to make sure that it's not going to come loose. We're using those back loops so that you can't see the stitches too well on the outside there. You don't have to make it too difficult. Okay, and as we're getting closer here, the inside's getting smaller and smaller. So let's just take a second and we'll stuff it up a little bit with our stuffing. You just need a little bit of stuffing, not very much. We're just going to keep it open like that. Just go ahead and stuff it in. And again, you don't need to add too much stuffing. Just enough. Okay, let's keep going around. And just up through the next stitch. Down through the next one on the coffee. And we're almost all the way around. Okay. Okay, that looks like we have all of it sewn on there in the coffee. So we're going to take this end, we'll just go in and we'll just kind of hide it. I'm just going to kind of pull it through a couple stitches and then down to the center. Make sure that when we pull it tight, it's not pulling too many of the stitches into weird locations, you know. So we're just going to tweak it like clay back into the positions that we want all of our stitches. And the very last thing that we want to do for this coffee cup is we want to add some steam so we know that it's warm, you know, it's coffee. So what I do is you just need a little tiny bit of stuffing here. Okay, and you can use a bunch of different kinds of stuffing. I have some that's a little bit fluffier than this. And like, that's a lot of stuffing. Let's just go with just like that much, just barely any. And you're gonna roll it up in your hand, kind of like that, so that it's flatter. And you'll take this little end here, and we'll thread it on our needle as best you can. I mean, it's stuffing, so you can't thread it on too well. But that's pretty good. And we'll take our needle, and we're just going to go straight through the center of our coffee and down through the bottom. And we're just going to kind of pull it through. Just pull it up so that the stuffing is kind of locked in there a little bit. Doesn't need to be too locked in there, but just enough. At the bottom right here, you can just cut the stuffing loose if you want. Okay. Let's go ahead and stuff that stuffing back in there a little bit with the back of our needle. But there you go. There is a very simple coffee mug. I want to make one with little amigurumi eyes and a happy face or something on it. But thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it down below. Check out clubcrochet.com to see all of my patterns like this. And check out that Yancey the Yeti pattern. Here, let me pull them out. Go check out that Yancey the Yeti pattern at clubcrochet.com/Yeti. Thanks again for watching. Pasta la pizza, and happy hooking. Bye.